So this is William Schaberg. He wrote this book in 2019. Um, he's one of the many atheists that over the years that has done everything they can to discredit and go after AA. I've seen it, the 30 years. It's like you'll always hear about some new book about Bill Wilson. That's who they always go after because Dr. Bob died in 1950. But Bill Wilson's been dead since 71. And yet old timers you'd hear what old timers would say that had met him. And Bill Wilson never claimed any, like, he did not want to be put on a pedestal. He was very much an introvert. Yeah, he didn't like crowds. But he did a whole writing about, don't put me on a pedestal here. So I don't know what this guy's deal is. He wrote this book after, I mean, it shows his obsession with wanting to destroy something that's worked for millions of people, all because it's faith. But that's where he tries to destroy it with this other one, okay, who I've never heard of, and I guess that's part of the problem, is that this author uses this guy Hank, who said he was early on in getting the big book going, or getting funding for it, and he was totally left out of the history, he says. But he relapsed, and yet then he attacks it because of the God element. He only came on the scene in the 2000s. So this is what they do. This is what the woke does too, though. They'll make anything up they have to about somebody. They can say William Schaberg went into his archives, but it's all of them being atheists, and they're all trying to come out now and say, oh, this is the real history behind AA. Yeah, but you're showing how obvious you are, okay? I mean, you just are. You're just pissed off because, of course, atheists would hate something they know that God is actively working in. Then they would say, well, I don't believe in God. Well, yeah, but atheism is its own religion, really. It is. It's a religion of self. So, of course, you would hate AA because many alcoholics, like myself, recovering, have said that ego has to be removed to truly know God. You guys are just too weak to know God. Really, that's what the atheist is. They're just too weak to let their ego go. So I never heard of this Hank P. He supposedly, is pissed off because he was left out of the history of AA. It's like, and so this is much of what his book is based on, besides spending 11 years in Bill Wilson's archives, is that, and then saying the steps were not scripture inspired. Well, I don't think Bill Wilson ever said that they were. He said that it was something else leading them, but something else got him sober. Just because they don't want to admit that, that's the reason he keeps relapsing. I mean, it is. It's because it's a spiritual void. That's ultimately what it is. That's why you have to do you get down to the core of it and you realize, I keep pouring alcohol into this bucket that has a big hole at the bottom of the bucket. So I'm never able to fill the void. It's a spiritual void. God fills it. And you'd think that's why you'd think that you could go into the churches and that should help, but it doesn't, because for whatever reason AA does it, so they hate it. All the atheists hate it. But there's what they hate the most too is early on in the first 10 years, there was a lot of agnostics and atheists that were saved. It's talked about in the first edition of the big book. Like the stories are in the back of the big book. And yeah, there's many stories back there from atheists. So these people hate that. So they forever have gone after AA. I just think they're particularly obsessed right now because they're very woke-like too. And but this is the attacks that I have seen it the 30 years of going to AA. Like that's what happens to it. The science that comes after it, trying to discredit it. The Christian churches go after it to discredit it. And atheists most especially do. Because they're always doing hit jobs on it. Everybody's always doing a hit job, so you know something's working there because they hate it. They hate, and the science would, because the majority of your science is atheists. And the Christian churches, that's the one that's been the most baffling to me, but not anymore. It's because they don't believe in new revelation, and AA puts them to shame. Because AA is proof to all the Christian denominations, they just don't want to admit it, that they've defied God. Because when they said that the Bible was closed, and then there's these revelations taking place written about in the big book of people having these spiritual experiences, then that's revelation. So that's why they all hate it. So, yeah, this is so typical, but I mean, but it shows their character, you know. I wouldn't believe anything. I mean, you know, how did he get access to Bill Wilson's archives? You never, I mean, it's been over the history. There's been things, I mean, Bill Wilson himself said he's not perfect. There's nobody in AA that is perfect, especially with the history of alcoholics. There isn't. So yeah, you can find stuff out, but that doesn't mean that God wasn't, you know, driving them to write these steps. One of the things somebody's saying, I don't know if it's in his book, is that, I think it is, they're trying to discredit, like, you know, to make the history be something else so that people are, it's like they want to just take people's help and hope away. And by lying, it shows what their character is. Because I think it's his book, goes as far as to say that there was a time none of the steps were based on, didn't have God in them. Yeah, no, they actually had Jesus in the steps early on. They did. But then they realized then if we have Jesus in it, then it says it'll only help if you're Christian. That's why they changed it. So for them now to come along, or these atheists that always come out of the woodwork all these years later, to, you know, they're always trying to go after it, always. I mean, it just shows what kind of character these people are. I mean, it's in 180 countries, helped millions. I think I read there's 2 million members, and they have nothing to better to do than these empty atheists, because they don't want to look at their own self, how their ego is the problem, and they just become good tools for, well, the dark influence that runs this world, that has put woke into all of our institutions. Another example of it. So, no, to say that none of the steps were based on God is that's almost going too far, because everybody knows there's too many of Bill W.'s writings that that no, it was God. I mean, this is what the science does, and a lot of the atheists is they try to make it. They don't like, the science doesn't like God, and atheists don't like God. So what they do is they try to say that no, the only way people stay sober is member to member. It's like, yeah, in the beginning, yeah, but you eventually, there's a reason that, I mean, there's the steps about God, because you can't always have a member right there, and you're turning your will and your life over so that, you know, you're walking with that God every day. The atheists just, they're always going to hate it. But this is how much I mean, Christian churches just trying to discredit Alcoholics Anonymous all through its history, the science and peer review forever trying to discredit it, and of course the atheists, they never stop, all because they want to take down something that helps millions. Go figure that one out. Should tell you what influence controls this world.